All right. Good morning, guys. It's always morning. I am going to talk about my experience I had 10 years ago. I've been putting this off for a while, but today I'm going to record this. So I don't really have any kind of a script for this. I'm literally just going to explain to you guys what happened to me, or what I experienced, right? Like what I saw. So this was back in 2010. So it's actually 12 years, like, not exactly 10 years ago, but and this is when I was going to Mars Hill Church. So if you don't know what Mars Hill Church was, Mars Hill is a mega church here in Seattle that unfortunately uh, fell apart, disintegrated. The leadership had some really bad issues, and the church kind of broke up from within. But that happened years after this. So I was in college, and I was feeling good. I was really enjoying the community at that church, and I was really learning a lot, and I was really growing in my faith at that time. And this was before I kind of started questioning everything, and really started struggling with a lot of my beliefs. But basically, what happened? So I used to live at a different house back in college in Edmonds, and basically I was one evening. I think it was a weekend, and I was just lying on my bed, and I just decided to lie there, and I just closed my eyes, and I just was thinking to myself, if I was to die right now, I would see Jesus, right? I would go to that place, whatever that place is, that's heaven. I would see Jesus, and I would see his glory, and I would be full of joy. And that's literally the thoughts that went through my head. And all of a sudden, it was like I was somewhere else. So I don't know really how to explain it, but I mean, it 100% to me was like not a dream, because I was just as conscious and aware as I am right now looking at you through this camera, right? Like, um, basically everything was dark, and it was all black, and I was thinking to myself, like, what's going on, right? And there's this, I just see this, it was like a giant curtain or a wall or something start moving from right to left slowly, and kind of opening up. And I noticed that there was light coming out from behind this wall, and it just kept moving really slow and slow. And I was like, I wonder what all that light is. It's just white light. And so I'm just, at this point, I'm just like, I don't really know what to think. I'm just kind of watching and observing. And this is all of a sudden I start to see, as this wall is moving, the outline of something. And it's just, I look at it, and it's just this, I notice it's a figure. And this figure is just pure white light. It literally was like looking at the embodiment or the definition of white. And I've never seen something that white in my entire life. The first thing that popped into my head, I was just looking at this white color. I knew it was a figure, but I was just looking at this white color, this white light, and the only thing I could think of was like, wow, that is like as white as snow. Like that's like whiter than white. Like that is the whitest thing I've ever seen. It was like there was, like, even when you look at like white snow, pure white snow, there's still tiny little shadows, or maybe flakes, or specks, or this was none of that. Absolutely pure. And that was the first thing that I noticed. So as this wall, this big black wall, is continuing to move, and I'm seeing more and more of this figure, I'm like, this is a person I'm looking at. That was the other thought that came through my mind. And then after that, I thought, I'm going to see this person's face. Like that just like that just kind of came to me. Like I just kind of realized that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm about to see who like what this person looks like. And it was like the wall was moving, 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 and all of a sudden I saw the what that would have been the left eye, I believe. Yeah, I would have seen the left eye. because this wall was like moving real slow. And as soon as I looked at this person's eye, it was like looking into a forest fire. That's that's the best way I've been able to describe it, because it was like a lot of flames, and it looked like literal fire. And it was his eye. And as soon as I kind of like looked into his eyes, I could literally feel and know that he was looking back at me, and I could feel his vision like kind of hit me. It was almost like a floodlight. If you took a giant floodlight and just shone it right at somebody, it was like that, because it was like his vision. The longer that he looked at me and I was looking like at him, the more and more I could feel his vision literally start to just like expose my entire being. And it felt like the longer he was looking at me into my eyes, the more and like the farther back and more expansive and the more he was seeing. And that felt like it could have gone on infinitely, basically. It was almost like, I don't know if I am an infinite being, right? But it felt like if I was, he would have continued to have just seen everything more and more and more, infinitely expanding. And at that point, I felt extremely overwhelmed and basically snapped out of whatever this was. I'll just call it a vision, because that's the only word I can think to describe this. Was I had a vision, right? Um, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I had a couple tears roll down my face. My whole face went like flush red, and I got like a little bit like my body temperature increased a little bit. I sweat a little bit, and my heart started beating, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" So that was a really crazy experience, and I sat up in bed in my bed, and I was just like, what just happened? So I went over and I immediately just started writing down everything about it to try to remember it, in a journal, and I still have that page or two that I wrote. Um, and I just started trying to think through, like, if I was just meditating, thinking about Jesus, and then I have this vision, my assumption is that what I saw was Jesus. That logically makes the most sense to me. Now, I'm not saying that I know 100% for sure that that is what happened, that that literally was Jesus, but I've never experienced anything like that in my life. That was not a dream. It's not, or at least it's not like any kind of a dream I've ever had. I was literally as conscious and awake as I am now, but I was just seeing something else. And it wasn't like, it's not like I think back about this, and like when you have a dream at night and you wake up in the morning and you can think back about your dream, and you can remember your dream, some parts of your dream you don't remember, but really like your mind was just kind of doing whatever it was doing while you were dreaming, right? You weren't really there, like, consciously. This was 100%. This was like, when I think back to this, it's like remembering a real experience. Like, I was literally actively thinking and trying to analyze and conscious, like just as I am now. I don't know how else to describe it. And so to me, it's like, well, that doesn't resemble any kind of a dream I've ever had. So I'm gonna call it a vision, but that was just a crazy experience that I had, basically. And when I looked up later in the scriptures, some verses that I thought related to that. I mean, in Revelation, it talks about how Jesus is, you know, in that he has eyes like flames of fire, right? Like, that's literally in Revelations. In the transfiguration in the Gospels, it talks about Jesus, basically becoming like all just like white light. And even there's parts of the scriptures that maybe aren't referring specifically to Jesus, but to God in general, that that all the hearts of men just basically lie bare and exposed before him. Like, he sees everything. And so, like, some of those things, like, they related to my experience. And what's really driven me over the last, maybe, like, well, I mean, over the last decade, but like in the years after that experience happened, right? Because I basically started later, like a couple years after that, really started questioning everything. Had a lot of struggle in my faith, and later basically became an agnostic, right? Um, and I started getting into all kinds of different areas of research, trying to figure out what was true. But like the main thing that continued to stick in my mind, and even through periods of like for me like really major depression, um, that memory was always there of seeing that. And to this day, um, you know, I personally believe that that was Jesus, even though I'm still trying to figure out my beliefs and what I believe about the Bible and Christian theology and what reality actually is. So that's my personal belief, but I can't say I 100% know that was Jesus, or like there's two types of knowing. Like there's a knowing where you can like prove it, right? I can't prove it. And then there's a knowing where it's just like personally like in my own like gut, I know. Or in my own heart, I know. I don't like that, like that's the only way I can think to describe it. So in like in that sense, like in my gut, in my heart, by faith, like I have that kind of a knowing, but I can't prove it, so I can't say I know, and you should like like you should believe me too. Like you should you should know too because of this. Like no, I can't say that, but um, that was my experience. Now, I have had other experiences, especially after I started questioning my faith and doing research and all these other things, became an agnostic, and started digging into to a lot of different subjects. I had a lot of other experiences. I had bad experiences. I had experiences with kind of like psychic phenomena. I had like a lot of crazy stuff that maybe to some people isn't even that crazy, but I might get into those at another point. But I just wanted to get this on a on a video, record it, tell you guys that little story. Some people find it interesting. Some people are blown away by it. Other people are encouraged. Other people are just like whatever. But there it is. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Um, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, I believe that I had some kind of a vision, and to me, it seemed like that vision was of Jesus. So there you go, guys.